Tiddarine. So anyway, Major Tiddarine, just a little bit of information on him. He was raised in Mazur, currently serves the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces Joint Staff. He's a graduate of the Royal Military Academy in Meknes. He has completed multiple advanced military courses and holds degrees in both science and technology, as well as public law. His career reflects a strong commitment to continuous learning, with roles ranging from tank platoon leader to staff officer, as well as participation in international exercises and courses in the U.S., Portugal, and Germany. He has received several honors, including the U.S. Army Achievement Medal. Outside the military, he is a dedicated husband and a father of two, and passionate about metal music and sport bikes. At this time, please welcome today's speaker, Major Tiddarine.
Thank you so much for attending this presentation. That means really a lot for me, and I'm gonna every time remind you that my grandfather was there. So big thanks to the Army Frontier Museum for the opportunity. Big thanks for you for attending, and another special thanks for my family. And for Colonel Zakariae from the Moroccan Directorate of Military History for his support, and also for reviewing my presentation and providing me with multiple valuable pictures and documents. An essential landmark of Morocco's centuries of history, the memory of these valiant Moroccan fighters who served in multiple theaters during World War I and II, and which will remain engraved in the Moroccan collective memory. As His Majesty the King, Mohammed VI, may God glorify him, emphasized in his 2015 throne speech, this sacrifice was made in adherence with the kingdom's spiritual and human values. He stated, I quote, "Do not forget that for which Moroccans sacrificed themselves during the First and Second World Wars, and through the world, and the reason for which our venerated grandfather, His late Majesty the King, Mohammed V, may God rest his soul, was exiled. It was precisely to ensure the triumph of the spiritual and human values in which we all believe. Thus, the study of Moroccan soldiers' participation in both world wars stems from the moral injection of memory and remembrance, which must be upheld and even developed. This presentation will be divided in two parts. It's the Moroccan soldiers in World War I and Moroccan soldiers in World War II. To start with, the First World War represents a significant chapter in Morocco's contemporary history, written, it's true, in pain and blood, but for the triumph of universal values of law and peace against despotism and cruelty. Through the conflict, Morocco's economic and military war effort in support of the Allies was considerable and unwavering. Very briefly, for the families present here who may not be very familiar with the conflict, at the origin of the war was the colonial expansionism of European power, which fueled several antagonists. From 1905 to 1914, All the major European powers militarized and formed military alliances systems. So, in 1914, the map of Europe did not look like it does today. Poland didn't exist. Germany was much larger, and Austria and Hungary formed a single empire. Alliances such as the Triple Entente, encompassing United Kingdom, France, and the Russian Empire, and the Triple Alliance, encompassing German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, and Italy, divided Europe. France contested Alsace and Lorraine with Germany, and Italy disputed 3 territories with its ally Austria-Hungary. This would later explain the different fronts where the war would focus. In 1914, unrest broke out in Serbia, and the heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the famous Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated by Serbian nationalists on June 28 in Sarajevo. Then, like a domino effect, European powers declared war on each other, driven by a system of alliances and interests. On August 3, 1914, when Germany declared war on France, the later convinced of the courage and the warrior value of the Moroccan soldiers, secured their commitment to the fight alongside the French army in the campaign France. As soon as the hostilities broke in World War I, Sultan Mulay Yusuf innocently sided with the Allies, issuing his famous appeal read out in the kingdom mosques in August 1940, in which he urged Moroccans to support France and side with the Allies. The kingdom's official support triggered a general mobilization through the kingdom. Although the war, letters and appeals from the Moroccan sovereign bear witness of the Sharifian kingdom's unambiguous commitment to the Allies. On the subject of the Sultan's letters, general loyalty, general residence in this era in Morocco during the Protectorate time stated, through the war, other letters came to engage the Moroccan soldiers, and it was a sight to behold. As I saw in frontline hospitals, our soldiers passing them back and forth and kissing them, and with such an emotion. Here is a reminder that as early as 1912, when Morocco was under the French protectorate, the infantry was reorganized based on, first, tabors of the Sharifian army under the designation of Moroccan Auxiliary Troops, or TAM, and tabors, it's like infantry troops, equivalent to a battalion, approximately 1,000 soldiers. It's commanded by a Kaiser Ha, battalion commander, who had under his command Kaid Mia, which means like company commanders, and Muqaddams, platoon leaders. The entire structure was under the authority of the Minister of War, or Al-Allam, who was generally chosen from the Gish military class, which is like one of the oldest class we have back in Morocco. It's like the warrior class. In August 1914, the total strength of the Moroccan troops was just 3,020 men. The infantry was reorganized into 9 battalions of Moroccan infantrymen, the TN, each with 4 companies along with two independent companies, the 10th in Tangier and the 21st in Woodman. The cavalry, oh yeah, on the other hand, was reorganized into 11 squadrons of Moroccan spies, which formed the foundation of the marching regiment of Moroccan spies. On August 12, 1914, a statement from the Minister of War, the French Minister of War, published in a note from the French General Staff, described these soldiers, I quote, "Moroccan infantrymen are intelligent, agile, courageous, and passionate warriors. They are tough, solid, and good warriors. Although difficult in character, they are in general perfectly devoted." Tireless marchers, seasoned in mountain battles, Moroccan soldiers, for their part, created legend through their heroes. They abandoned their homes and lands to answer the Sultan's call. From the ports of Casablanca, Rabat, and Kenitra, the Moroccan infantrymen embarked for Sète and then Bohol. In France, the Moroccan infantrymen formed a brigade under the command of General Dib, consisting of two regiments. On August 17, 1914, the Moroccan infantrymen disembarked in Bordeaux at a newly established reception center. On August 25th, just 1 week after their disembarkation, the Moroccan soldiers were directed towards Amiens to support the 6th French Army. As soon as they arrived, they were deployed into the Battle of Charleroi in Belgium. After the failure on August 24th, the French army tried to regroup and prepare to repel the German army. In this context, on August 3rd, 1914, the Moroccan brigade integrated into the French Sixth Army and suffered its first casualty. On September 5th, the Moroccans were thrown into the Battle of Our, the first phase of La Marne battle. The fighting was brief, 13 to 6 hours, heroic, violent, and extremely deadly. The attack was launched on September 16, and the German line were broken in a heroic violent charge. Soissons was cleared at a very high cost. In the morning, the first FGM had 1,280 men. By the evening, only 620 remained, but victory was achieved. The determination and spirit of sacrifice of the Moroccan division within the 6th Army forced the German Force Reserve Corps into a hasty retreat, the effect of which would be felt across the entire French front. Paris and France were saved. The Moroccan brigade was dissolved on September 23. The survivors of the two regiments, around 700 men, were incorporated into a new regiment, which was later reinforced and officially became the marching regiment of the Moroccan infantrymen, RMTF. Positional warfare replaced maneuver warfare through the year of 1950. Trench warfare began. In 1950, the RMTM took part in all major offensives. From the combat around Soissons to the action to cross the Aisne on January 14, 1915. On February the 2nd, 1915, within the 28th Infantry Division, the Eritreans took part in the Champagne Offensive, aimed at breaking the German front to achieve a decisive breakup. From March 12 to 13, 1915, the Eritreans moved to the Rennes region to take up position in the frontline trench in preparation for the attack on the Butte du Nice, where the death toll was very high, 1,400 Moroccans, making it one of the deadliest engagements in the history of the Eritrea. So from one battle to the next, the Moroccan soldiers were present all along the French front, from La Marne to the trench of Verdun, right up to the victorious Allied counteroffensive on June-November 1918, when the 1st and the 2nd Eritreans marked themselves by their heroic achievements. The two marching regiments will leave an incredible mark of the French theater, in the French theater, showcasing the courage and dedication of the Moroccan soldiers. On the other hand, and as mentioned earlier, the organization of the Sharifian army also included the revival cavalry units, which were to become the Moroccan auxiliary squadrons, 11 in all, numbering 2,000 cavalry. General Lyotte wrote about the Moroccan Spahis and in support of their bravery, I quote, "It also provided valuable services in France, as they are fearless, agile, and excellent pursuers." From August 22 to 25th, 1914, 5 squadrons embarked from Rabat and Kenitra, bound for Sète. Upon arrival in France, this troop was named the Mounted Regiment of Moroccan Cavalry, before becoming, in January 1915, the Marching Regiment of Moroccan Spahis, with Morocco's official entry into the war. In September 1914, they will travel by train to the Épernay region to join General Canou's 1st Cavalry Corps. They will take part in the attempt to recall the German front. Unfortunately, from 1915, following a reorganization, the Moroccan Spahi were forced to abandon their horses, their Berber horses, to learn trench warfare. And you cannot just imagine how a cavalryman or an armored guy it felt if he was asked to leave his tank and to just be an infantry. Sorry. The Spahis were engaged in the Somme during the preparations of the major Franco-British offensive aimed to relieving the Verdun front. However, the Spahi are about to experience another front, that of the East or the Orient. First, in Greece, after the Franco-British attempt to seize the Dardanelles straight from the Ottoman Empire, on October 5th, 1916, French and British troops landed in Salonika, Greece, to form a bridgehead to help Serbia and open a new front in Europe. The Moroccan Spahis and their horses joined these troops. As a farewell, General Canou paid a heartfelt tribute to the men of the RNSM on the occasion of their departure to the east. Greece, on June 12, 1917, a violent battle at Larissa opposed the spies of the Franco-Moroccan cavalry on their Moroccan Berber horses against the partisans of the former king Constantine of Greece, whom they pursued several kilometers on horseback and captured many prisoners. In Albania, starting on September 7, 1917, they took part in the capture of the city of Pograde, defended by Austrian and German forces. On September 9th, the RMSM successfully entered the city, engaging in hand-to-hand fighting with their weapons. Since it arrived in Salonika, the RMSM has suffered 100 casualties, including 83 spies and 17 officers and NCOs. Under these conditions, the RMSM was deployed on September 15, 1918, to seize the city of Osku in Bulgaria as a part of General Gambetta Cavalry Brigade. Among all the regiments that made up the French Cavalry Brigade, the 1st RMSM would write one of the most remarkable chapters of its history during its participation alongside the Allies in World War I. A decisive operation against the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Osku is a major landmark in the region. After fighting against the German army in Greece, Macedonia, Albania, Serbia, and along the Danube, the 1st RMSM earned 5 citations in the Army of the Orient, 2 Serbian orders, 1 Romanian order, and the Forager of military medals. The 1st Spahi Regiment keep alive the memory of this army from the Orient and of all the Moroccan soldiers who died in Europe so that human values would triumph. Every year, on September 29th, the victory of Osku is celebrated with dignity in France by the French Spahi Regiment stationed in Valence. It's the successor of the 1st Moroccan RMSM. In fact, Morocco's firm commitment to the Allies in the Great War was welcomed and appreciated by several countries in the Allies. The armistice marks the end of the combat in World War I. The 1918 armistice, signed on November 11, temporarily ended the fighting in World War I. It recognized the Allies' victory and Germans' defeat, but was not formally surrendered. Initially set to last just 33 days, the armistice was later renewed. The Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919, formalized the victory and established the terms set by the victor. On June 14, 1919, during the victory parade in Paris, on the Champs-Élysées, a heartfelt tribute was paid to the Moroccan soldiers as they marched under the Arc of Triumph, symbolizing the kingdom's contribution to the victory of 1918. So, this picture was taken on November 11, 2018, during the century commemoration of the end of the Great War, with participation of His Majesty the King Mohammed VI. World War II. It's going to be short, of course. So 20 years after the end of the Great War, Morocco would once again be called upon to support France's war effort with the German when the German army invaded Poland in September 1939. In total, more than 85,000 Moroccans enlisted in the French army during World War II, playing, of which is my grandfather, playing a heavy toll, between 10,000 and 15,000 killed and over 30,000 wounded, of which is my grandfather. Morocco's war effort was not limited to the soldiers involved, but also extended to economic support, impacting nearly all sectors of the country's economy and all social classes. For instance, from October 1940 to October 1941, 51% of the North African cereal export to mainland France came from Morocco. Additionally, significant quantities of fruits, vegetables, sheep were exported. So, just quickly, the main factors that could justify the escalation leading to the Second World War would be the aftermath of the First World War, mainly through the Treaty of Versailles, as well as the return of the United States to isolationism, marked also a turning point in post-war international relations and led to the normalization of the German-American relations in August 1921. So in August 1921, the Treaty of Berlin, initiated by Charles Evans Hughes, the 44th Secretary of State, officially ended the state of war between the two countries, Germany and the US, but without challenging the provisions of the Treaty of Versailles regarding Germany. World War II began on September 1st, 1939, when the German army crossed the Polish borders. A new war, even more atrocious and terrifying, unfolded as two opposing blocks crashed. On one side, the Allies, France, Great Britain, and later on the USSR and the United States. On the other side stood the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. A few months before the outbreak of the World War II, the Sultan of Morocco, Sidi Mohammed bin Yusuf, or Mohammed V, expressed his support and solidarity with France. Indeed, as tensions escalated in Europe on September 7, 1938, the Sultan of Morocco sent a message to General Noguès, the French resident general, leaving no doubt about the Morocco's solidarity. On September 3rd, 1939, Sultan Sidi Mohammed bin Yusuf officially declared his support to France and the Allies against Germany by sending a message to the Moroccan people, which was read in all the mosques of the kingdom. In his proclamation, which marked a sovereign act of Morocco's entry into the war, the Sultan called upon his subjects to rise and unconditionally support France and allies in this challenging time. The Moroccan troops engaged in the French army then increased from 38,000 soldiers to 90,000 soldiers, following the call of the Sultan. This is one of the important slides for me. In 1993, His Late Majesty King Hassan II, addressing a delegation of French senators, solemnly recalled his father Sidi Mohammed bin Yusuf call to take part in the war. displaying a major interview on the subject by stating, I quote, "The Moroccan soldiers who participated in the Second World War were not colonial troops. They were not recruited by the colonial regime, nor were they raised by the protectorate. It was the letters read in the mosques on Friday, during Friday's sermon, and the tour undertaken by my father across the country that led this Moroccan man to stand by your side as soldiers of freedom." In addition to the historic call he made to Moroccans on September 3rd, 1939, 3 days later, Sidi Mohammed bin Yusuf sent another message of solidarity to the President of French Republic. In response, the French President expressed his gratitude in appreciative terms. Between 1939 and 1940, Moroccan soldiers were distributed into 10 infantry regiments, 4 regiments of Spahis, 2 artillery regiments, 2 engineering battalions, 25 transport companies, and 126 guns, of which my grandfather, with 200 infantrymen each. In September 1939, Moroccan fighters were deployed along the Belgian, Luxembourg, and Germany borders in the north and east of France. The Allies, traumatized by the carnage of 1914-18, has adopted a wait-and-see stance symbolized by the defensive strategy along marginal line. For 8 months, the Franco-British armies remained on standby, sheltered behind this line, except for a cautious offensive into German territories in the Saar region in September 1939, during which the 6th RTM suffered around 50 casualties in 2 weeks of fighting, with a significant number of wounded due to the enemy mines and traps. Until May 1940, the conflict was limited to sporadic skirmishes known as the Phony War, La Drodo Guerre. During this period, the Moroccan soldiers demonstrated remarkable courage, earning numerous decorations and multiple military citations. On May 10, 1940, the Germans launched the Blitzkrieg, or the Lightning War. They invaded the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. The French army, including the 1st Moroccan Division, under the General Millier, deployed in the north and attempted to counter the German offensive. The Moroccan infantry regiment took part in Belgium in what was considered the first tank battle in military history. On May 14 and 15, against the 3rd and 4th Panzer Divisions, supported by squadrons of Stukas. At the same time, the 2nd Moroccan Spahi Regiment distinguished itself during the Battle of Sedan against the 1st Panzer Division. For 2 days, the 1st Moroccan Division bore the brunt of the German offensive, suffered heavy losses, nearly 1,000 men, and engaging in hand-to-hand combat. The 1st Battalion and the 2nd Moroccan Infantry Regiment was reduced to just 74 men out of 600. It was during this battle within the 2nd Regiment of Spahi that Lieutenant Simbad Bouquet was wounded. After having one of his legs amputed, he was repatriated to Morocco. For those who don't know, Bouquet, he will become, after the protectorate in 1955, our first Prime Minister. After the US entered in the war, here we go, the action just started. The Allies landed in North Africa on November 7 and 8, within the landing of the American West Task Force in Casablanca, Kenitra, and Sèvres. This triggered the Axis forces to invade Corsica and the French Free Zone. The Moroccan soldiers participated in the Tunisian campaign between November 17 and November 17, 1942 and May 13, 1943. British General Alexander, who selected and deployed the Gumi to assist the Allies in capture of Béziers and Tunis, would later describe them as fabulous warriors. 2 months after Operation Torch, the major strategic decisions made by the Allies during the Casablanca Conference would change the course of events in World War II. Casablanca was transformed into a key logistical rear base for the Allies, who were preparing for major liberation operations in the following months. It was in this context that on September 11, 1943, a landing force of 6,500 men, including 4,000 Moroccans, landed in Corsica for Operation Viseur. It was a detachment of the 4th Moroccan Mountain Division, including 2 squadrons of the 4th Moroccan Spahi Regiment, and the 1st Moroccan Infantry Division. The 2nd Moroccan Tabor Group was also planned to participate in the operation alongside a French battalion and an American commander unit. The Moroccan troops, with their known courage and fighting spirit, took part in every phase of the liberation of Corsica, all the way to the outskirts of Bastia on October 4, 1943. The action of the units involved in Operation Viseur succeeded in awakening an elite German unit, the 19th Panzer Grenadier Division, which by the end of its evacuation had lost 1,600 men, killed, missing, and captured. The human cost of the operation was heavy: 637 Italian killed and 557 wounded. The French army suffered 75 killed and 204 wounded, 2/3 of whom were Moroccan soldiers, including 45 Gumi killed in action. My grandfather was there. So, the Muslim military cemetery in Bastia and the national necropolis of Saint Florent stand as enduring reminders of his sacrifice. As General Patton's expressed demand, Major Verlet, Fort Tabor was used in Sicily to represent the French army and attached to the 3rd U.S. Division of General Truscott, 7th Army. The Moroccan soldiers captured Akuto, whose fall would mark an important point in the conquest of Sicily. During the campaign, they also captured 460 prisoners. Another front in Europe where Moroccan soldiers were present was the Italian front. Yeah, my grandfather was there. So indeed, the Italian campaign became strategically important for the Allies, starting in September 1943. The French Expeditionary Corps, under the command of General Juin, was deployed in the summer of 1943 alongside the US 5th Army and the British 8th Army, facing off against the 10th and the 14th German armies, which were entrenched in strong defensive positions along the Gustav line. The French Expeditionary Corps under General Juin was composed mostly of Moroccan soldiers, including 32 Moroccan soldiers. For 7.5 months of campaigning under harsh conditions, Moroccan troops distinguished themselves across the entire Italian front. They took part in several decisive battles, including Battle of Pantanamo, the Battle of Monte Marron, and most notably, the Garigliano offensive, the most significant engagement that led to the breakout of the Gustav line. The individual and unit commendation awarded the Moroccan soldiers bear witness to their vital role in opening the road to Rome and liberating Italy. Okay, this is my grandfather. You can tell like just from the mustache. So what you can see, like first is dates over here, 55, and this one is on the 80s, is because a lot of the soldiers didn't get like the recognition and like early. They got recognized like years after, and they got money from France. Just, I want you to guess how much. It's written here. It's 7.5 franc, French franc. How much is that? Like in US dollar, in the 80s. It's gonna be less than $2. Not a week, not $2 a week, not $2 a month, but it's $2 a year. Recognition. Okay. And one more thing. You can see, like over here, it's Missouri. This is my hometown. Look like Missouri, missing an E, but it's a wither. Okay, like also this following two or three examples commended for units that's commended for their courageous participation in raids against the Axis forces. So the epic did not end there. Between September 1943 and April 1944, General Leclerc's 2nd Armored Division was taking shape. Formed entirely in Timara, Morocco, the 2nd Armored Division spent 8 months training in the Air Force region. It was supplied by the Americans with weapons, equipment, and vehicles as part of the agreement made during the Casablanca Conference. So these two pictures, it's just a general pattern, and His late Majesty the King Mohammed V inspected other equipment. They had nothing to do with the 2nd Armored Division. This is kind of two pictures that show King's preparation of division and their readings. It was then assembled in England before landing in Utah Beach. On June 6, 1944, the Allies landed in Normandy. As part of the General Patton's Third Army, the 2nd Armored Division landed on Utah Beach in the English Channel on August 1st, 1944. It comprised 14,529 men, including 1,500 Moroccans incorporated into its various units. From the battles of Normandy to the liberation of Paris, the Moroccan spies of the 2nd Armored Division displayed remarkable bravery. The 2nd Armored Division would be the first units to enter Paris. Just the Americans did go first. So, a little over 2 months after Operation Overlord, on the beaches of Normandy, another engagement on the Provence coast, codenamed Operation Dragoon, was launched to complement Allied strategy and encircle the German army. The Moroccan soldiers also played a crucial role in the Provence landing in August 1944. Almost there. So this U.S. war, this is like the U.S. War Department citation honor, honors the 2nd Battalion of the 8th Moroccan Rifle Regiment for its exceptional bravery during the Battle of Belfort Gap, November 1944, where the Moroccan soldiers, despite the harsh conditions and heavy losses, pushed through enemy lines and played a key role in the Allied defense. Even decades later, Moroccan contribution during World War II is remembered at the highest levels. This quote from President Ronald Reagan in 1982 is a powerful acknowledgement of Morocco's steadfast support during, before, and beyond World War II. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attendance and for your attention. Thank you. If you have like questions, I can try to ask. I'm not really expert, but just for my Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry? So your grandfather was dead in the first of Ramadan. It was in October, I believe, in 2003. Okay.
Yes, sir. Did the Moroccan troops ever serve alongside the other troops from Africa? I think about the Senegalese or the Algerians.
Yes.
And so
Yes, there were. I can give an example. During the Bir Haki battle, which was one of the engagements in the Alamein big campaign against the Africa Corps, they were like a mixed company with Moroccans and basically Moroccans and Senegalese.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Take care. Yes, sir.
Sir, so were Moroccan soldiers that were in France in 1940, a lot of them then became prisoners from the Germans, or how did that go? You know, POWs.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I just, you know.
Especially for the first parts of World War II, I believe there were not really great or a big number of Moroccans as they were at the end after the U.S. entered the war.
Yeah.
Or basically, I know that there were a lot of dead people,
Yeah.
prisoners.
Yeah.
I don't know that. It's like a great question that I have. Like,
Okay.
that triggered like really my curiosity. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
One more question. Was it any civilian program for veterans after World War II?
Yes, because to let like the story ends, there were a lot of trials, like especially in France, to just recognize and back to the soldiers, but who remained from there, because most of them was dead before they get recognition and before getting paid back. Like my grandfather was one of the luckiest. He got some money, but at the end of his days, basically my grandma just took the money.
I mean, like, any benefits from country? Less tax or something?
No, really, but the big benefit for the country is that those soldiers, when they get back, when the protectorate is finished, basically most of them were the foundations of the kind of new Moroccan armed forces. So a lot of veterans entered. My grandfather was in the auxiliary forces as a sergeant major. We got a lot of officers, and especially officers like we're having all this expertise either from World War II, but also from the Spanish Civil War, because there were a lot of Moroccan participating in the Spanish Civil War. So this expertise just helped us like building fast this kind of new or modern armed forces after the protectorate. Anything else? Okay.
So I noticed it, how you are proud of your grandfather.
Yeah.
So my question is personal. I'm wondering if did his participation in the Second World War influence on your decision to become an officer of Moroccan Armed Forces?
It could be, but it's not like really a direct reason. Like for me, being an officer was mostly influenced by the environment. Me and my grandfather are the only military guy in the big family, but there were just new regiments, army regiment that got established in my small town, and I was like looking at officers. I was young. Okay, I want to be like those guys. And I messed up my life. So this all. Thank you very much again.